It's official. India and Vietnam are now openly discussing a possible deal for the BrahMos missile during Vietnamese president visit to New Delhi. The proposed deal is reportedly worth around $600 million, nearly double what the Philippines bought. This includes coastal missile batteries, training, logistics support, and possible naval integration. Vietnam is interested because the BrahMos is one of the few supersonic anti-ship missiles available for export that can threaten major naval assets quickly and at low altitude. And since Vietnam already operates the older generation Bastion P coastal defense missile system, which includes the Onyx missile platform, it would be relatively easier for Vietnamese personnel to adapt to the new system. This follows a growing trend. The Philippines has already inducted the system. Indonesia reportedly finalized a deal recently, and now Vietnam is moving closer. If Vietnam, along with other countries worried about Chinese naval pressure, deploys BrahMos batteries along its coast or islands, it could create serious anti-access zones against hostile naval movements. For India, this expands defense exports, strengthens India's Act East policy, builds military partnerships without formal alliances, and of course generates significant revenue. Now, these are all the standard benefits India gains. But that is not what interests me. What interests me is what potentially comes with BrahMos exports that could be far more valuable to India. See, in many advanced weapons exports, foreign military or contractor personnel are often involved, especially in the beginning. The level of involvement depends on how advanced the system is, whether the buyer can maintain it independently, political trust, and whether the seller wants a long-term strategic presence. For example, look at South Korea and the THAAD system. The THAAD battery deployed in South Korea is actually operated by United States Forces Korea and was not fully handed over like a normal weapons sale. U.S. personnel remain there permanently for operations, maintenance, software control, radar management, and integration into the wider U.S. missile defense network. The missile itself is not the main concern for China. The radar associated with that is extremely powerful and highly valuable for intelligence collection. China strongly objected because that radar can monitor missile launches and air activity deep inside Chinese territory. This shows that strategic data collection and geopolitical presence are often part of the equation. Now compare that with India's case in the Maldives. India supplied Dornier aircraft and coastal radar systems. Indian personnel were present partly because the Maldives lacked enough trained operators and technicians. Maintenance and logistics were Indian-supported. India wanted to maintain strategic influence in the Indian Ocean, and those radar systems also contributed to maritime domain awareness. A coastal radar network is not just for the host country. If connected to India's maritime security architecture, it can indirectly improve India's understanding of ship movements in the region. That does not necessarily mean India controls everything, but strategic awareness absolutely increases. Now, when the Philippines bought the BrahMos, that did not automatically mean permanent Indian military bases or a large troop presence. But small numbers of instructors, technicians, liaison officers, software specialists, or maintenance crews are very common in such deals. But could India gain useful radar or coastal data? Potentially, yes. This is because a BrahMos coastal battery includes surveillance radars, targeting systems, communication networks, and command systems. If Indian software support remains involved, updates are provided by India, data sharing agreements exist, or systems are network linked, then India could potentially gain valuable maritime awareness around the South China Sea. Of course, sovereignty concerns exist, and countries are careful about what data leaves the country, hidden software backdoors, telemetry data, and strategic dependence. But if India had access, whether direct or indirect, to broader maritime awareness from countries like the Philippines, Vietnam, or Indonesia, the strategic value would be enormous because it extends India's visibility far beyond the Indian Ocean. Not control, but awareness. And in modern geopolitics, awareness itself is power. And since Vietnam, Indonesia, and the Philippines are all strategic partners of India, it is reasonable to assume that at least some level of military information sharing happens during defense cooperation and exercises. The bottom line is this. India is placing its defense infrastructure and radar-link systems inside countries that are also strategic partners. That alone can be uncomfortable for China, even if India does not directly control the systems. China understands that modern influence is not only about military bases, troops, or alliances. It is also about sensor networks, interoperability, logistics access, military familiarity, maintenance dependency, and defense ecosystems. China spends millions of dollars tracking India's missile tests just to understand the capabilities India has reached. And seeing India gradually build similar strategic visibility near the South China Sea could create an uncomfortable situation for China.